All right, well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us this June 25th of 2025. I'm very excited today. Well, first I want to thank Amin and JP because I'm not sure if you guys received the email. We recorded this episode a couple of weeks ago, but unfortunately I made the mistake and I forgot to press record. Thankfully, the Portal Panel podcast team here handled that with great grace and excellence, and uh, we decided to use this as an opportunity not only to do it again, but to um, actually extend the episode so we can provide more value. Okay, so without further ado, I would like to introduce Amin. Amin Rafiee is an internationally acclaimed speaker, educator, and privacy consultant whose work has shaped conversations on digital freedom and decentralized technologies for over a decade. Amin is a UNESCO Grand Prix Award winner. He has delivered keynote talks at prestigious institutions, including UNESCO House in Paris, the European Commission in Brussels, and the Swiss Center for Global Dialogue. As a polymath and product engineer, Amin bridges disciplines to address the world's most pressing digital challenges, from cybersecurity and digital privacy to physical and mental wellness and beyond. Amin is truly Amin is the visionary behind Bittopia University, the world's first decentralized autonomous university, built to revolutionize education by empowering students as stakeholders and rewarding mastery through decentralized incentives. At the core of Amin's mission is a bold vision, that is to decentralize knowledge, disrupt legacy institutions, and return power to the people. Through his talks and beyond, he is forging a new paradigm where privacy, education, and innovation thrive beyond borders. So without further ado, Amin, welcome.
Hello, how you going?
I am well, Amin. Thank you for joining us again. I really appreciate your time. Uh,
Hi, welcome. A pleasure.
so I guess my first question, Amin, I'm going to make this a little bit more informal. I want to kind of get to know you because, after our conversation a couple weeks ago, I realized I think I've met you before. Were you in an Acapulco last year, or in Acapulco?
Yeah, hold on, last year? Yes, last year I was.
Yeah, I think we introduced to each other. I had just arrived to Cafe Rustico and you were on your way out. But that didn't click until we actually had our conversation. So
Ah,
anyways,
nice.
yeah, so happy you did leave an impression cuz anyways, but so that's something that I kind of wanted to let you know because that came to me only when we spoke. So my
Ah,
first
nice. Thanks.
so my first question, I mean, is tell me a little bit about yourself. Like, how was your journey? Like, what led you to, crypto decentralization? Your journey? Can you kind of give us a little bit of background?
My background in education, I did have both. So I'm originally from Iran, and in Iran, if you don't have education, it's not a thing. In Asian countries and east of the world, if you don't have like a educational background or some sort of a degree, it's quite shameful, culturally. So you have to do it. So I had to do it whether I like it or not. After 2 or 3 years into it, I really did not like it because I started working for myself from the age of 22, 21. And I could see the difference. I could see what it was like to be an entrepreneur. I could also see the risks versus having what they would call a secure job. And the difference in how that represents your freedom and your choices. So I got to see it from a very early age. I didn't wait till because some people just stop education and they just work or they just do, yeah, it was nice to have a full hybrid system, so I can see both sides of the fence. I'm someone that you could say is homeschooled by choice. Like, let's say I educated myself. Most of the things I've learned and have done is self-educated. University, I more did just because, yeah, to keep my mother happy and her expectations and to satisfy that. And also, it was nice to do and learn things. I learned industrial engineering, which is a polymath, let's say the Renaissance kind of knowledge, so maths, physics, biology, psychology, branding, marketing, all of it combined. So yeah, that was really nice to learn all those things because now I can see and review different projects from a holistic perspective, which is really nice, and a deep holistic perspective, so not just surface level, which is really, really powerful for me as well. So if I take a problem in my mind, I can approach it from an engineering perspective, scientific, from an abstract, from a marketing, branding, a lot of these things. So I highly recommend for anyone that's looking to study, try and do a multidisciplinary subject. It will at least allow you to look at things from different perspectives. Not there was a guy that called it the fragmentation of the mind. So if you go through like a specialty or something like that, there's a quote that says specialization is only for insects. A human being should be able to do, a variety of different things. So I've always had that in mind since a young age. So I didn't really want to have my mind be fragmented and I just super focus on one topic. I do enjoy being able to look at things holistically. So yeah, I guess you could call it I've been through the traditional, I've seen the dark sides of it, and I've really pushed to get myself out of it. I'm someone that's kind of worked in his own bubble since the age of 22. So
I love that.
yeah.
I love that. And if I could ask you just one more question in regards to your like your approach to learning, like this multidisciplinary approach that you have. Uh,
There was
can you
someone
share a
else.
little bit about like?
I
Oh,
got continuing and then
I'm gonna.
Alex.
Edu, can you mute yourself? Your mic is live.
Alex was just like.
In regards to your approach, I guess my question was because I think like yourself, I've been acquiring like different skills and things of that nature, and one of the approaches that I've has worked for me has been like the trivia method. So I wanted to ask you like if you could expand a little bit about your approach in this multidisciplinary approach that you have.
Yeah. So anything in particular, a framework or like how I approach
Yeah,
something or
yeah, how do you approach something new? Like for example, like my I guess my approach would be like the trivium. So I kind of like have like a three-step approach to learning things.
oh,
I was
fair
wondering,
enough.
like, do you have like a particular
You have a
system
proper
in place?
framework.
Yeah.
Are you are you originally from Germany?
No, but I love to learn, and
I'm just joking.
it's
I'm just joking.
yeah.
That was just purely a joke. Okay. So I don't really have like a system that I could put to you in like, step one, two, three sort of a thing. But I'm generally just an extremely curious person. Unless I can actually wrap my mind around it from a very holistic perspective, I won't stop asking questions. And I think that has really favored me, being able to just remain curious. So I see a lot of people, like for example, throughout life, I realized I thought maybe, you always think like, is everyone like me? But then you realize, no, a lot of people are not that curious. Because what happens is, there's a lot of knowledge out there, but a person has to be kind of thirsty for knowledge. So there's a desire for knowledge and there's a love for knowledge. And then there's like just accumulating knowledge for no purpose. And I really, really love knowledge. I don't know how to explain that
No,
more deeply. Yeah, like I really enjoy it. Like I've worked with different people and I ask them a million questions. And they can turn around and be like, "Oh, you learned all this from me." And a lot of times I'm like, "Yeah, you did teach me, but just understand 100 other people have come and gone and they didn't ask you more than two questions." So as much as you're able to teach, the person asking the questions and wanting to learn is also part of the protocol. So
I,
I guess when I see something new, I try and just understand it as best as I can. I really need to have it as an image or a framework or a system in my mind that I can kind of play with. And unless those missing parts or gaps within that information is filled, I won't be satisfied. So that's really like where I get at my desire to want to understand. So yeah, I don't really unfortunately have a framework to tell you, but I can just say I'm super curious.
yeah, no, that's it. I love that curiosity aspect of it. Um,
Yeah.
and so, with that said, what inspired you to build Bittopia University?
Yeah, good question. So Bittopia University started as a frustration of seeing why the crypto space, after almost 10 years back then, was so mysterious. It just didn't make sense. All these technologies come out by Apple or Samsung or whatever company, and people seem to wrap their heads around it quite efficiently. So I was curious why this wasn't happening. And I had my own assumptions and guesses. What I really wanted to know, and just knew there's something wrong with the education because it didn't make sense. It wasn't like we didn't have enough people in the crypto space or, enough smart people. The whole place was just filled with smart people. So I just did not understand what's going on and why after 10 years, people are still asking me the most basic fundamental questions. Like it didn't comprehend in my head. Again, see, there you go, the curiosity. I'm like, why?
I love it.
Why
I
don't
love it.
people get it? And then that led me to just do workshops and invite, let's say, people that had no background in cryptos to analyze the responses and create like a word cloud based on reasons as to why they didn't, let's say, adopt cryptos, use it, whatever, whatever we can do with cryptos, even store value, whatever you want to look at it. And the most prominent response was actually education, lack of knowledge. And that validated my hypothesis, which was, I had guessed that it was lack of education. And then I went deeper with them and I realized, okay, based on a lot of responses people gave, a lot of people were dissatisfied with the education itself. A lot of people like, man, unless I had like two or three women in the class even come and be like, or in the workshop, be like, I had no idea crypto you can do so many things. They're like, I'm usually in United States or somewhere where there's some crypto bro trying to tell me like buy this crypto, and like they really put me off it. They're like, we really appreciate that you didn't A, push any crypto onto us, B, you genuinely gave us a full window into what it can be used for, not just like, hey, buy this, stack it up, it's going to make you money. Like I went really deep with them. I showed them applications of it in terms of being able to use it for decentralized finance. There was for example, I think they're still around. There should be. I did this a while ago, but there was, for example, in Chiapas in south of Mexico, there's a DeFi company that would let you, let's say, to harvest coffee in Mexico, other parts of the world. The farmer needs to be able to hire extra workers, do extra things because it's harvesting time. And because of that, they need to be able to pay for those workers and extra requirements that's for harvesting. And a lot of times the banks, they have loans that are like 40, 50%. It's crazy, A lot of South America and Central or North America, including Mexico, it's difficult and the rates are really high. So this company found a gap and they allowed you to be able to back up these farmers. So you could like contribute to the harvesting fund and they would do it, go through it, and then you would get a kickback from it, depending on what's going on and what their clients or distribution requirements and funding was. And that was really, really cool. Like I showed them that they were in Mexico when I did it and they could see all the different parts of it. And then I gave them a holistic view. Okay, you can use it like this. You can use it for decentralized storage, like Filecoin or storage. I showed them a lot of different applications of it, and because of that, I could see, okay, education is super powerful. So that's how Bittopia kind of started in a small way. And then from there, it just became like a completely different thing today. It just evolved and evolved and evolved until it's reached like a point of perfection. It's like the guy that created Ferrari, he nearly went bankrupt trying to create the perfect sports car, but he finally got there, didn't he?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well,
So I had a
really, that's
similar experience with
fascinating.
Bittopia.
And so how has it changed? Like with the whole, I've heard that maybe about a decade ago, like there was like a shift. I think I've heard you talk about it. Like there was like in the early days of Bitcoin, it was about there was a purpose. People were in it for a certain reason, and then I guess as we move closer to like more adoption or more people got into the space, like how has that had an effect on Bitcoin University? Like the shift that you've seen over the past
Okay.
maybe.
Yeah, sure. I can go into that. That's a very good question. So I'll separate it into two segments. The first segment for the evolution and the cultural shift within the crypto space. That one is really, really fascinating for me. We spoke about this previously. It doesn't matter if it's crypto, music, hip hop, house music, R&B, uh, even vegetarian, veganism, all these things, when they first start, usually they have very good uh, ambitions and very good frameworks. Even feminism, a lot of these things have been hijacked. A lot of these things were actually really beautiful things. Like feminism is not what it is today. That's the inverted, perverted version of it.
Yes.
It was a very different thing. Like, yeah, extremely different thing. So a lot of these things just happen when it seems to be, we spoke about this last time, when you have something like a movement. I guess my conclusion is the more people that it reaches, the quicker it destroys itself. So if you have something that's nice and you have a nice little tight group and you're doing things, trading, swapping information, exchanging, whatever it is, I think it's nice to just keep it small. And I think it's nice to keep it tight and not have this ambition. So even where I am now, I started a privacy cybersecurity group and it grew. And I know I can jack it up. Already it grew to like 100 different people, and which is quite nice for like little time and zero advertisement. Um, but the fact is, I could make it grow even more, but I don't want to. I actually limit the amount of times the link is shared, and I really do my best to not even tell people about it because it's so nice in there right now. And it's been so nice for like 6, 7 months. Like, I don't want some imbalance to be entered into it, right? So perhaps that's the thing. Everything might be better in smaller but larger number, like 1,000 groups of 50 people rather than one group of, 50,000 people or something.
I love it.
I think, yeah, I think that's the way I see it. So, but Bitcoin did change at the early stage. In the early days, if you spoke about price, you would get kicked out of rooms. Like people would look down on you. They would be like, "Why are you here? Why are you even talking about prices? Kick him out." You know, I can show
Yeah.
you forum posts. I've saved a lot of these things because they were fascinating for me. And it was about screw the banks. It was about screw the central banks, screw the governments. Now people are clapping that governments and banks are adopting
Yeah.
Bitcoin. They're like, "Yeah," and I'm like, "What the fuck is going
Yeah.
on?"
Right.
But that's just what happened. They're celebrating BlackRock buying it. They're celebrating what that other scammer, what's his name, Michael Saylor buying it. It's just insane. And they're celebrating top-down adoption. Back in the days, you would never see that. You would never celebrate it. So a lot of these things just changed. So if you got into it after 2015, 16, it was completely different reasons, and the entire ecosystem changed and became very commercialized. And I loved it. Those first 3 or 4 years, the golden age of crypto, I lived through it. I used it. I lived on it. It was the wild, wild west. It was fantastic. It was absolutely fantastic. And I'm so happy I did.
And so, what's your opinion on like now with like all these different blockchains? Is there like particular blockchains that appeal to you?
Good question. I'll fill in the second segment of your question previously, which was about Bittopia. I just want to clarify, Bittopia is not a university for crypto-based knowledge. It evolved now to be a protocol that turns education from a service into an investable asset class. So that's kind of what it has transformed into, meaning courses, universities, knowledge networks, all of these become assets that can be traded, licensed, or you can co-own it with other people. It's turned into really a beautiful thing. And then we have rewards systems, learn and earn reward systems, and a lot of different things that goes into the protocol. So it's turned into a full, really, really beautiful thing. And maybe another time we can go into that. But
You know
yeah, I wanted to mention.
that's actually really interesting. So if I understood you correctly, correct me if I'm wrong here. So say if I want to be part of Bittopia University, and I create a course or a digital asset, right? Like uh, people's interest or the value that is provided in that course, there's a like an award that's attached to the value, or
Yeah. So
did I
I'll go
understand
through
that
it in
correctly?
like three different scenarios so you can understand it. The first scenario is that you're a creator, you're a builder. So you're an educator and you're like, okay, I want to build a course and these are my parameters, etc. So you would come to Bittopia and you would go, okay, I want to create a course, and the AI would help you through it to manage all your requirements. Let's say the course structure, module structure, everything to make it super easy. And then you will set your price. You can even recommend prices to you, similar to Airbnb. They can say based on the neighborhood pricing in the last, 7 days or 20 days, you should do this. So you can market for you at a certain price too, and help you adjust everything to make it fine tune it. And then once you post it, it becomes like a DAO. So a DAO, you have a proposal system, you have a membership system, you have all of these things built into the course. Now, if you don't want any of that, you want to, run it solo, that's up to you. You can do that. That's fine. Now, if you want to expand on that, you can suddenly amplify your efforts. So we have never seen this done with education. All we have is like Facebook groups, and we know how effective those are. We have Telegram groups, we know how effective those are. But now imagine every single member that's contributing to that educational, let's say, pathway gets rewarded for it. You know, it amplifies effort and it recognizes contribution and it rewards the people for it. And the parameters are set in depending on what they do. Let's say they share a link on Twitter, or, you know, they see the course curriculum and they're like, hey, you know, you should update this since July last year. There's been an update for this particular thingy that's in your course. So not only do you have optimization of your course because you've opened it up, and you have absolute amplification of it too, because you can just speed up the entire process. So that's from a course level. You've built it, and now there's people going through it. So 10% of it, or 20, depending on how you set it, goes into the course treasury. So it's similar to a DAO. So imagine you have a course and it's called Startup 101, and it teaches you on how to run a startup, create it, what's required to make it successful. And let's say you have 1,000 students go through it, each one pays $100. So 10% of all that goes into the treasury. Now, every financial aspect of this course is shown in USD or USDT. We don't use our token for the course prices. Why? Systematically over the years, if you analyze all the DAOs and why they failed, you would come to see that they failed because they continuously push their own token to be the king of the ecosystem. So if you have a DAO that's got $50,000 in their treasury, but it's not measured in USD or USDT, is backed by their token drops 40, 50%, 60%, that DAO is now destroyed. Do you know what I'm saying? And all that effort that got them to that place in the first place is now destroyed. There's no risk management there. So that's why we separate the two. So because of that, it actually empowers people, and it really like you can, sorry, there's an echo.
Yeah, I think someone has their mic on. Let me mute that.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah, so essentially you can see like courses with their value, their turnover, their treasury. So someone could come up to you and be like, hey, good work with that course. I can see it's turning over this much. Your treasury has like $100,000 in it. Would you want to sell it to me? Or a university can approach you and be like, would you like to co-license that? So you do things in a modular way. So it turns them into a very modular Tetris-like way. And that makes it very compatible with a lot of different ecosystems. And you can go into it more and more. So that's a course level. And then if you were a contributor, you don't have a course, you could, for example, go, hey, I can't afford this course. You go into the community and you start contributing and you earn your way into the course. Or maybe they give you a scholarship and they're like, yeah, you've been really great for the past 3 months. I've noticed you contributed a lot. In our treasury, we can fund your tuition for the course. That's from a contributor level. There's a lot of things that can come out of it that's just never been done before. But yeah, that's the in a very simple way, that's what's going on with Bittopia.
No, thank you for that. That was a great explanation. I think I got it. Thanks. And I guess to the question I had asked, given this shift that you've seen in Bitcoin, like, is there like a particular blockchain that you see that maybe has something in regards to privacy that reminds you of that golden age of crypto?
Yeah, I mean, Monero would definitely be one.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I mean, given, I guess, where do you see the biggest risk for individuals who don't take privacy seriously? Like,
I mean, either you can take it seriously, or you can wait for your identity to be stolen and then go through that headache and see what that feels like, and then figure it out that it's important. It's up to you, really. You know,
right.
you can brush your teeth, or you can wait till you have cavities and then be like, oh, maybe I should have brushed my teeth. It's up to each person. You know, no one forces a way. It's just whether you learn it or you go through the pain and learn the easy way or the hard way. But yeah, I'll just mention the Monero thing. So you brought up the blockchain. I just want to touch on that. The space has changed. The only thing reminiscent of what it used to be back in 2013, 12, 14 is Monero. But Monero itself, we'll have to see how it works. So far, it's anti-fragility. And if it's, they say good money chases out bad money. So it has to go through certain things. So right now, Bitcoin has to go through this top-down kind of corruption. And if it doesn't survive, it means it wasn't good money. So that's something that people should listen to if they get personal about it. It's like, well, we all said Bitcoin is good money, right? And if it's good money, it should be able to go through this entire corruption and everything they're trying to do to it and survive. Now, if it doesn't survive, we were wrong. It wasn't good money. It was corruptible. It was good in theory, and it didn't work out. So now we're watching Monero, and the same principle applies. Is it good money? So far, it's shown that it's good money because they tried to shut it down. The shutting down made it stronger. The hash rates went up. The network adoption went up. So we're like, oh, you're displaying the characteristics of a good money. So we'll have to wait and see. But so far, I really like Monero. I personally think it's a great crypto. There are issues with having privacy fully built in at the foundation levels that we're seeing, and they're working on those. For example, accountability. So knowing how many coins are in circulation, mined, things like that. When you have a fully private chain, that becomes a bit more complicated. But yeah, we'll see. I'm quite excited. I'm happy that Monero is like trooping along and it's done well and its network is growing and it's gaining strength. But yeah, let's see how we travel forward. That one's just exciting for me. Other things, yeah, that's it really.
All right.
We'll
So
have to see.
you've been advocating for privacy for over a decade now. Um, what major shifts have you seen in how people understand digital privacy, if at all? Like,
No, that's a great question. Shift. I think it's similar to Bitcoin in 2012, 13. There's a movement going on. And I hope it does. It's already corrupted. No, let's be straight out. It's already corrupted. The privacy movement, just like crypto, has already become corrupted. I could share my screen and show some stuff, but I'll just say it. I don't need to share it right now. So, for example, you have the Braxman. Do you know Braxman?
yes, is
With
that
the
the phone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, for example, we did analysis of them, and you can go to our website, Unchained Innovations. That's where we supply privacy phones, laptops, routers, consultation if you need that, any sort of support, things like that. So you can go into that. We'll post it later, unchainedinnovations.io. And we have a Telegram group with over 3,000 people in it too. It's been quite active. It's been active for almost, let's say, almost 5 years, let's say, or maybe 5 years. I have to think about the date. We were one of the first people to offer graphene phones, de-Googled phones, and we've done really well with it. And we've really focused on our sector. So what I can tell you is privacy used to be taboo, but it's still kind of taboo. But people are learning because of the impeachment of governments and tools, they're learning, okay, maybe I should do something. So what I'm saying is not that the movement occurred. Like, for example, a lot of people jumped from WhatsApp to Telegram back in the days because WhatsApp pushed that policy, which where they were like, no, I can't be a part of this. And they lost a lot of members because of it. The similar thing happened from Telegram to Signal. There's all these jumps that and changes that occur, and it just depends on what people react to. But what I have noticed as a trend, I can tell you that it has become better. People are a bit more knowledgeable on it. But at the same time, the corruption is real. There's a lot of people selling de-Googled phones. And then I look into the way they do it, the things that are doing, and it's just absolutely not okay. So people think like, for example, oh, it's de-Googled, it's graphene, it's the same. No, it's not the same. There's a lot of things that goes into making sure that it's not tracked, it's done properly, it's packaged properly. You're not selling a phone that's, going to run out of support in a couple of years. There's a lot of things that need to be kind of mentioned, and the lack of education, similar to crypto, can lead people to make the wrong choice. So they'll be like, "Oh, why is your price this much? I can get it off, blah blah, for this much." And I'll be like, "Mate, we've been around for almost 5 years or 5 years. How long is Joe from down the road that's is going to be around? Can you email him in 12 months' time and he's going to answer you and respond to you and tell you how to fix your problem? Or, there's a lot of things to it because it's the Wild Wild West applied to privacy again." But what I have noticed, which I do like, is that people are making good moves. There's a lot more people using things like Signal or VPNs, or thinking about moving away from Windows, and Linux is gaining popularity. That's nice. I'm definitely seeing Linux become more user friendly, compared to what it was like 10 years ago. That's nice. It's visually beautiful. The experience is nice. So now I'm like, people should move to it. Whereas before it could be a bit more tricky. But now I'm like, okay, it's reached the point where it's ready for people. There's no need for people to use those nasty platforms. But unless they have certain programs, depends on their use as well. But yeah, I'm definitely seeing a change that people's desires have changed. But anytime you have desire or need, that need gets met by both authentic and non-authentic people. So, for example, Brack's phone, 500,000 followers on YouTube. You would think, he's a privacy guru. He has videos, millions of views or whatever. But then you look into his phone and you look at the GitHub repository, which means like how the software is developed for his phone or the operating system. And the last time we did a scan of the whole thing, it hadn't been updated in 11 months. Like Graphene gets updates on a weekly basis or 2 weeks max. For 11 months, the amount of vulnerabilities that you would have is insane. Secondly, Graphene only works on, Pixel phones, highly developed, highly secure phones with $1 billion budget, versus what the Brax phone using Chinese phones. A lot of times they don't even get security updates when they're running. And then you look into the repository, and then you look at Graphene. It's like thousands of updates ahead of the standard Android system. And then you look at Brack's phone and his operating system, which is a fork of Lineage, which is already outdated. Yeah, there's so many finer lines to it, and I guess my frustration comes is like, how do you express that to everyone? Because what I just said is not something everyone can comprehend. So a lot of times, yeah, that part is difficult to explain to them, Or you have like clear phones. Clear phones, absolutely terrible. Chinese made phones really laggy and slow. Development is really crappy. And they have all these clear apps on it, clear messages, clear data, clear this, clear that. It's like, dude, the whole point was to get away from a centralized ecosystem. We don't want your apps on here. But yeah, these things where education comes in again, explaining the value and the importance.
Yeah, definitely. And I think this is very important. Because I myself find myself kind of transitioning to the privacy sector. So I want to make sure, like, because I know I heard you mention, like, people think you have a VPN that you're safe, but that's not completely correct. And so, what can someone who's looking to make that transition, like, you obviously a VPN helps, but it's not like the last thing. It's not. You could do other things. So I wanted to. The question is, someone who's thinking about making that shift, what are some steps that they could take, like a VPN or maybe other steps that could help them into that privacy space?
Great question. You asked really good questions. It's valuable for the audience the way you frame it. Okay,
Well,
so I'll just share
I'm just trying to understand what you're saying because, yeah, I'm in. I find myself in that transition.
Yeah, no, it's great. Good on you. So let me share my screen, and then so this is our website for on-chain innovations. So if you're looking at privacy, phones, laptops, so we have all that stuff at the top. You can see you can click on those icons and then go to different sections. So phones, laptops, tablets, VPN routers, courses, and consultation. Now the phones are the most popular. So what I would recommend for people wanting to learn is just come to this website, click on the Telegram channel, go to our Telegram community, and you'll have a ton of different things you can read. You can learn about VPNs, how to choose a good one. There's a lot of tips in there. And the benefit, like for example, I'll give you one on the phone. So you said with VPN. So let's say someone's thinking about, hey, I want to use a VPN. Well, you're using a VPN essentially to cover your, let's say, right now, I'm opening a website. I'm going to like, let's say, imbd.com. For me to go to this website, right now, my system through, it's not .com, is it? I thought it was .com. IMDb, database, not database. But for example, when I come to this website, my system will, through my router, connect to my internet provider. Now, let's say you're, depending on where you are in the world, it could be AT&T, it could be Telcel, whoever's providing you with your internet connection. So when I'm accessing this website, my internet provider obviously knows what websites I'm using, right? So if they know that I'm connecting to Signal, they will know that I'm using Proton. Anything that you're connecting to has to connect to some server. So Signal has servers, Telegram has servers, whatever, Zoom has servers, all of these. So your internet service provider can essentially get a map of, hey, where is this person visiting? At what hours do they use different apps? You can create a whole network of those things, which is not very good, right? At the other end, we can have our IP shown. So if I go show my IP and I come to this website, So because I'm using a VPN, it thinks I'm in Kentucky, which is great because I'm only down the road from there, right? So that's how it works. And that's what you want. You want to be able to come in here. And then I have other things running, right? So I have things that block my user agent. So that's not exactly my system. That's not exactly my browser. But those are the things that it thinks I have. And those change every like half an hour, an hour. But that's how you use it. So there's two things. First, you don't want them to know your websites and apps and everything else and your usage capabilities and statistics. At the other end, you don't want any of the apps that you're using beyond your internet provider to know where you are because they can ping everything. So if you're sending a Bitcoin transaction, your IP address is attached to it. If you're using any crypto transaction, it's attached to it. If you're accessing any websites, sending emails, logging into Proton Mail, logging into Signal, all of these record your IP address. So all of those are logged. So that's why we use a VPN because I don't want my location to be seen and I don't want my internet service provider to know I'm using IMDb even if I am. So that's why we use it. The problem comes is that the lack of knowledge leads people to make poor decisions. So for example, they'll be like, oh, okay, I heard about this VPN thing. And then they're watching TV and they're like, oh, get ExpressVPN. Terrible, terrible, terrible decision. So, there's things that go into it. So one example I can just tell you for the sake of sharing knowledge is that you don't want a VPN provider that you pay with a credit card because then they have access to everything you're accessing linked to your credit card and then they can go and sell it. So do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I always say to people, the greatest damage someone can go through is the illusion of privacy, thinking they're secure when they're not. It's very expensive. Like privacy is super expensive. This is what people don't get. Like not having it is super expensive. Not doing it correctly is super expensive. Like paying
Yeah.
$50 a year for a VPN is cheap compared to the damage that you can get from not doing that.
Wow, that
So
was an
one
amazing
thing is
explanation.
yeah, thanks. So I always tell people like make sure you choose a VPN that you can't use your credit card. Like don't use your credit card. You should be able to pay for it with, Monero, if not Bitcoin. That's it. Cash or which is great too. So
Wow.
those are the things that I mentioned. So because as I said, your internet provider can see what apps, what websites and everything. So if you use a VPN that you can't really like verify, now they get access to everything your internet provider used to get. Do you get what I mean?
Yes.
And your internet provider has very heavy regulated policies and laws on how you use your data, whereas that VPN connection that you randomly found doesn't. So maybe you were better off without the VPN rather than a shitty VPN. Do you get what I'm saying? So
Hold
that's
on.
that's
There's
just something to point out. No, all good. Um,
Amin, I know that I want to respect your time. I do have one question, and then I want to open maybe the last 5 minutes or so to
yeah,
any
sure.
questions that the crowd, our guests might have. Um, and so my last question, first I want to thank you, Amin, for your time and
You're very
everything that
welcome.
you're sharing. But the last question, how do you evaluate whether a blockchain or protocol um, and maybe I'm not using the right word, but it's truly decentralized. And I think last time we spoke, you kind of went over, shared your screen, and you kind of,
Yeah, so that was
kind of,
about like for sure. I know how to go. Yeah. So how do you choose a blockchain? This isn't so much how do you choose a block. I mean, it is, I
yeah.
guess.
Maybe I don't think I worded that. I framed that
No,
question
I've
right,
never
but
worded it. I've just kind of shown it. Let's choose a nice title for it. Um, I guess due diligence for like if you're gonna invest in something or if someone tells you, hey, check out this coin, I'm buying a lot, this should be the most fundamental basic thing anyone should do before taking that leap, you know? So and unless you can satisfy this, I would treat any crypto as experimental. So just put money in it like, hey, I believe in this, they're doing cool stuff, they've wowed you with their privacy protocol, whatever, like that's great. But just know whatever you're putting in it, you might not get back, you know? Or it might be worth 1% of what it was or 10% of what it was. Just if you're comfortable with that, then participate in those projects, not under the illusion without having this knowledge. So I'll show you what I mean. So for example, I'll open up a few. Let's open up Monero. Let's open up, for example, R and then Monero and one last one, Zcash. So now we have a few different privacy projects. And let's say someone told you, hey, check out these projects. They're really cool. They promise absolute privacy and they're doing really cool stuff. So this is what we can do. First, we have what we call in scientific research, a control, right? A control is something that we use to set our foundation, our base. Because Monero has been around for a long time, we can go, okay, they've been around a long time. Clearly, it's not a scam, unless it's a scam been going on for a long time. So we have enough data to be like, okay, it's quite solid. Let's see what we can do. So the first thing I'm going to do is come into it and I'm going to look at the market. I'm going to go, okay, if I put, let's say, $10,000, $5,000, $1,000, whatever it is, I just want to know, can I manage that? Can I manage that risk? Let's say I put in $1,000, this coin goes up 10 times like they said it would. Can I cash out? And how much can I cash out? And how much can I cash out before the price drops? These very simple questions. They're not complex at all. So the way you go about it, you come into the market and you have a look. See the minus 2% debt and plus 2% debt.
Yes.
So that's showing you how much you can sell or buy before the price changes 2%. Only 2%. Yeah. So with
Wow.
Monero, I can feel pretty comfortable knowing that I can sell around close to $1 million a day without the price fluctuating 2%. Yeah, 2% is okay. Like depending on how much you're going to cash out, you would break it over a week, a month, and 2%, you'd be like, it's okay. You can work around it depending on how much you've accumulated through it. You might even be happy with the 2% drop to cash out $1 million. But the possibility exists across a lot of different exchanges. They're all trust scored green, and the debt that is available is reflective of a reality that allows for, hey, I'm going to become when Lambo, this reality can happen in this framework. So that's what we're saying. We're saying that if I bought $10,000 worth of Monero, that right now it's worth, $150,000, I can easily cash out. I'm not stuck in the jail in the illusion of rich, but I can't cash out, which is a terrible place to be in. Now, let's compare Pirate, for example. Now, Pirate is very, very different, as you can see. So what did we have? We had hundreds of thousands of dollars in depth, and now we have in depth extremely different numbers. Very, very different, like day and night difference.
Right.
So that means if you had $10,000 worth of Pirate, now it's worth 150,000, you're kind of screwed. You're really screwed. You have to sit there, maybe, and then if you don't want a KYC, you're only stuck with a few. It'll probably take you a while because, yeah, the constant drop and everything, you'll lose a lot of your value or you'll be sitting there for a long time trying to cash that out. And as you can see, the trust score, only the first 4 are green in terms of liquidity being able to say, yes, that's correct. So you don't have much across the green ones. $100,000, you would have $150,000, like almost half a year, right? And that's if the liquidity is there every day for you to come and sell. Like, is someone going to keep, buying them from you every day? There, similar thing. Even worse, like actually extremely much worse. Again, so 2 green, not much depth to it. It's not good. Why? Because this means if I see, even though the volume looks okay for an early coin, it's not much. So you're kind of stuck in there. So this is what I mean. It's, some people can get into the technology side. They can go into, hey, Dara's doing this really cool stuff with decentralized websites and smart contract-based website. All of it is great. I'm not saying any of those things are not great, but if these fundamental things are not satisfied, those things don't matter. Because if people put money into it, they can't get out. Like I have had people personally in Pirate put money in and they can't get out. They're stuck in there because they put a large amount, which is not good. So check this out for any coin that you want. So I'll show you Zcash. It will very much probably look like Monero. There you go. Very healthy ecosystem. Monero is better because it was in the hundreds of thousands, but this one's in the tens of thousands, 20s of thousands. It's all green ticks. It's across a lot of different exchanges, and the volume and the liquidity is very good. This is what we call liquidity. So you don't want to buy a coin that's 100x if you can't cash out. It just doesn't make sense. I've seen this in the last 12 years. There's a lot of projects that 12x, but you just can't cash out. So this is from a financial perspective. Now, I'll quickly show you the other side, and I'll leave it there for you guys to think about. So I'll open up Monero. I went to Zcash. I'll just keep it as Monero and Pirate because Dero didn't look too exciting. I'll open Dero too. Why not? Let's get their GitHub. Let's go Pirate GitHub. Lovely. So now we have 3 different examples. First of all, when we come into Monero, we go into the Monero blockchain, and we see the development and everything else that's going on. So we can see there's 12,000 commits, the last update. This is when was the last time they updated it. Think of it as a software update, yeah? And this is the last time they released. So you can update it first, which is here, and then you release the update as a software, right?
Right.
So 2 weeks ago, they did their update, and then they have a release on April 6th. Looks pretty healthy, lots of commits. 2 weeks ago is pretty good in terms of health, and a release in April, like 2-3 months ago, pretty healthy. Now we go to Pirate, we go to Pirate's chain, and then we go to Dero, we open up Dero. So with Pirate, we can see last month, which looks good. The last release was September 2024. That's not very good, right? We're almost 2 months away from it being a year. See the difference? April, a year. Let's go to Dero. Last release, June 2023. Not very good. Last year, last update. 112 commits means like how many times they've pushed new updates. 112 versus 12,000 for Monero. Now, it can be gamified, right? So people can just push random updates to keep this looking good, or they can just, update software so it can look like it's fresh. So you can click on it if you ever wanted to go into it a bit more to verify it. And if you don't know what you're doing, you can literally copy and paste this page into ChatGPT and go, give me an analysis of how often they're updating. Are they, good updates, bad updates, or just random stuff that means nothing, And you can click on the same thing with Pirate. You can click on the same thing for Dero and just kind of have a look. So if you're looking at like updates, think of it as like a wall on Facebook. If a community is thriving on a wall on a Facebook, you shouldn't be able to on the first page see everything back until like last month, right? So if a community is active, the first page should only be like maybe a week or 2 back, max. So we can see from Monero, it goes back to April 23 this year. And then when we go into Pirate, the first page goes all the way back to August 2024. These are not 100%. This framework is not like, pure fine, but it just gives you a nice metric to just kind of explore and go, I wonder what's going on there, and then you can explore further. And then with Dero, if we come back, it goes back to February 2023. So Monero only goes back 2 months. This goes back a year almost. This goes back 2 years. Like that's a bit crazy. That's how you can see it. And as I said, you can literally copy this first page into ChatGPT and go compare the commits here from the ones from Pirate, from the ones from Monero, and rate them out of 10. And tell me, are they just like pushing real updates? Are they doing really cool stuff? Or are they just like maintaining stuff and just keeping things up to date without doing any real development, And you can do the same and compare them. And you'll get your own analysis from it. But this is what I just wanted to show you, because these are things that matters more than they said they're doing this,
Right.
Which is great. I love that they're doing it. We want more people building privacy tools, currencies, whatever it is. But just when you see this, it's enough for me to go, okay, lovely, good work. Let's see how you go. But until that date, you are experimental. Like that's just how it is. Like you can claim you're better than Monero, but until you're in the ring, you can be like, I can kick Tyson's ass. You can say that. That's easy.
Right.
There's videos of people saying that to Tyson, and it's like, sign the contract, get in the ring. He's like, whatever you want to say it, big boy. Just sign the contract, come in the ring. And this is the same thing. Like that's what I'm doing with Bittopia. Actually, we call it knowledge arena. So we actually allow these things to be computed against. So that's a different part of Bittopia, but I'll come back to that. So with this, it allows you to be able to kind of look at it and go, okay, what's going on? If they're claiming to be better than Monero, obviously it doesn't look that way. So we'll just support them, help them out, and treat your money as experimental. That's it. Just a risk analysis. But I'll leave it there, and I'll just show you Bittopia because some people thought it was Utopia, but it's Bittopia.
Yeah, I'll make sure to put that in the chat here.
Thanks. But yeah, there you can see the website is being updated. So this is a very basic website. We have until the July version is updated and released. But you can still learn, go through the news and see what's going on and reach out to us if you're interested.
Amin, thank you so much. I know there's a couple of minutes. Are you able to take a question or two?
Yeah, for sure. Let's do it.
So I want to open it up to anyone who might have a question for Amin. Feel free to unmute.
So just to let you know, Carlos, there have been questions asked throughout in the chat. So maybe review those.
All right, let's see. Can you help me out in choosing one? Let's see here.
I'll have a look. I'll tell you. I struggle to sell my Bitcoin for pounds. How do you sell without KYC? Okay, that's a great question. So the first thing I can say to that is, did you buy it on a centralized exchange?
No, the Bitcoin I took from my bank, I bought it on Exodus, I think, which is an exchange, but it's also a wallet, isn't it? So
Yeah.
yeah, and
No.
I was and I was selling some through MoonPay, and small amounts were fine, and then I got to a certain point, and then now they ask for my proof of income. So I can't do it that way. And so, yeah, looking for other ways of getting it from my Exodus wallet to my bank.
I hear you. So if there's no trace of it, you could deal with people like JP. He will transfer it to your Wise account. That's the way I would recommend. It's the
Oh,
easiest
okay.
solution. So you would just go through Exodus, convert your Bitcoin to Monero, and then yeah, you could deal with JP, and then he just transfers it to you with Wise. That's how I did it with him for a year until I arrived in South America, which is a different ecosystem. But yeah, that's the way I would recommend it. Just finding peer-to-peer people and
Okay.
figuring out what solution works for you. But I wouldn't use any online services, that's all.
Right.
Especially in the
Cool.
UK, they're becoming next level, like monitoring everything.
Yeah, they are.
I think I have one of your art. Have we met?
Yeah, I was going to say that. Yes,
It's right here. Do you want to see it?
yes, yeah. No.
It's in my living room.
Oh, I've got oh yeah. Yes, so we
Yeah.
met at Mariposa. Yes, exactly. Yes, I was
It's a
thinking
bit
that
blurry.
last time. Yes, nice one, Bob. Yeah.
I don't know. Ah,
So
it's
you
because
tell
it's
me a bit. Yes, yeah, yeah. Your camera's
no, because it blurs the background. It thinks it's the background for some reason.
yeah, it's
It was
programmed
beautiful though. I
facial.
don't know why I can't see it. Maybe I can turn off the blur. But yeah,
Cool.
you have really great art.
Thank you.
Yeah, there
Thank
you
you.
go.
Yeah, yeah. I'll be bringing some for the portal gathering. I think there'll be some nice stalls hopefully there.
I
Um,
paid for that with Monero actually.
You did, yes, indeed.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I think that
So
was my
nice.
first, yeah, my first ever sale of anything through Bitcoin, actually.
Lovely.
Or through crypto.
Uh,
Uh,
Good to have done a full swing.
And I mean, last question. Natalie is asking. I guess when we were talking about the type of damage that can be caused when people don't take those steps, like a VPN and things of that nature, she's asking, what kind of damage can like someone?
Yeah, it depends on what it is. A good question to ask. Like if it's a VPN, that's the wrong one. You're essentially just selling your data to a third company that has less protection than your internet provider. You know? So I would never touch, for example, a VPN that's free because that's just crazy. I know Proton gives you a free one. They're okay. They have some slight leaks in their DNS kind of thing, but they're okay as far as, free one goes. But I wouldn't do it like full time. I'll just use it just for getting to see what it's like or giving it a go or something. But yeah, that's the kind of issue when you use something that promises to be private and it's not. it can create the illusion, right? So, for example, using the wrong VPN, your data could be sold off. It depends what the company is. So if you use McAfee, for example, VPN, or any of these commercial ones, that there's a policy called no log policy, right? So when it's called no log policy, it means that they don't store your history. So if you've been browsing using the VPN or whatever you're doing, they don't store it. So that's a great first one to look out for. And not a lot of them actually apply this principle. So they actually keep a log. So meaning like what time did you come online? What websites did you access? Things like that. You don't want any of that log to be stored. So using one that's not really doing the job properly, they can have access to all that information. What else? Let's say, for example, you're using a system like Telegram. I can give you case studies. There's, for example, in the Hong Kong protests in 2013, instead of they caught the Telegram group leader, and through that they were able to catch every other single person because the leader had the phone number of everyone else in their system. So that's a poor situation to be in, because you could have prevented that by using an anonymous number. So you see, in these situations, people assume they know until they don't, and then they realize it was much cheaper to maybe pay $100 for an anonymous number than to have your phone number linked to some sort of a movement or protest, with the government now having access to that. So these are the things. It depends on your attack. What are you trying to prevent from, and things like that. Each person will have a different risk analysis. Each person will have different things they want to hide or do or whatever, keep private. So it's not very like one system fits all. But those are the things that can happen. So, for example, that's why I have a different number, which is private, never linked to me, for Signal versus WhatsApp versus Telegram. Each one has its own phone number. Each one is completely private. Because if someone saves me because now I've given them my WhatsApp, I don't want them to also have my Signal and Telegram. I don't want all those things to be linked. So that's the way I go about it, and I don't think many people do that, but that's the way that I've been doing it. So those are some things that can happen or go wrong, but something to keep in mind.
Amin, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you, brother, and I want to honor your hour. I know you only had an hour, so thank you. And I guess anything else you want to say before you head out?
Thanks. No, it's been great to be on your show. If you guys need help, reach out via Unchained Innovations. There's a contact form, you can go into it, or you can even book a call directly through the website, and we can have a chat. There's a 15-minute free consult if you want to discuss anything. It doesn't just have to be privacy. We can talk about crypto, set up a framework for you, maybe meet once a month, discuss your needs, touch base again, make sure you're doing it. Things like that are generally pretty good. And we're about to do an actual, let's say, a masterclass, just a quick one, within 2 weeks. So I can share that in the community chat, and you can be a part of that, ask questions, and we can spend like an hour and a half or so going over various tips for messaging, for emails, and how to do certain things. And then afterwards, if you want to book a call with me directly, we can do that too.
Thank you, Amin.
You're most
so much,
welcome.
brother.
Thank you so much, Carlos. I really appreciate your questions, your vibe as well.
And I mean,
Likewise, brother.
by community chat, do you mean the portal chat on Telegram?
Yes, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's totally fine. I'm just letting people know that there is such a thing as portal gatherings on Telegram, and you can connect with us there as well.
Yeah, it's good. Thanks for bringing that up, actually.
And I want you guys to stay tuned because we have another guest. So I guess I'll go ahead and introduce him. Let me just remove.
Thank you so much. Have a lovely evening. It was a pleasure to see you all again. Hopefully see you on the next one.
Thank you,
Nice to
Amin.
see you, my friend.
Cheers.
Thanks, Amin. It was great.
Cheers, Amin.
Cheers.
Awesome. All right. Well, we're only halfway, guys. So it is my pleasure. I guess I'll introduce JP, affectionately known in the crypto community as Mr. Monero. He is a dedicated crypto coach and passionate advocate for financial privacy. A Canadian expat now thriving between Mexico and India, JP has made it his mission to empower others through the principles of decentralization and true digital sovereignty. With a sharp focus on real-world crypto adoption, JP is a tireless advocate for Monero, widely considered the gold standard in privacy-preserving cryptocurrency. For him, Monero isn't just a project, it's a movement. He champions its use, not as an investment or trend, but as money designed to protect individual freedom in an increasingly surveilled world. JP's coaching blends deep technical knowledge with an accessible, real talk approach that meets people where they are. He demystifies wallets, privacy tools, and on-chain strategy, guiding everyone from beginners to seasoned users on how to navigate the crypto space safely and with confidence. So without further ado, welcome, JP.
Well, thank you, Carlos, for that very kind introduction. Yes, I am a proselytizer, although that word does have some connotations that some people might find awkward. An enthusiastic advocate for crypto adoption, and in particular, Monero. It was interesting, as I was getting a ride earlier today, the guy that was asking me, well, why not use Bitcoin? I mean, what's the matter with it? And I said, well, first of all, it's a surveillance coin. He said, yeah, but that's why Wall Street wants to use it. That's why the big banks are glad to go along with Bitcoin. Surely that's an advantage. And I said, well, maybe if you're a big corporation and you don't mind having all your things displayed to the world, yes, the surveillance aspect of Bitcoin may definitely have some advantages. But for an individual, it's sort of like, well, why do you bother closing the bathroom door? That's just a matter of personal privacy. Would you want, if you send someone a check on your bank account or an electronic transfer, would you like them to be able to trace it back and find out every transaction you've ever done and what your balance is and where your funds are coming into? No, that's a matter of personal privacy. And yet, if you're using Bitcoin, that is effectively what you are doing. You're inviting anyone who knows how to use the blockchain and blockchain explorers to explore everything about your financial history. And even for businesses, that's not something they want to display. They don't want their competitors to know who their suppliers are or how much they're paying for their inputs for their production. That's privacy is a natural right, and it's silly to pretend, as governments try to do, that there's something devious and sinister about wanting to be private. You know, privacy is our natural state. That is our natural right to have privacy in our individual dealings. And a privacy coin like Monero protects your privacy in a way that a surveillance coin like Bitcoin or Ethereum does not. The other question, sorry, go ahead, Carlos.
Well, you know, as you were speaking right now, I was reminding myself, was thinking about the introduction, and I completely forgot to add there your background. So I was wondering, before we start getting into like the Monero, can you tell people a little bit about your background? Because it's a very interesting background, and how you transitioned to the crypto space.
Wow. Well, I don't know how much of a biography that you want. I did do a Bachelor of Commerce in my undergraduate degree, and I've been involved in the financial world. I've worked for 3 different banks. I've worked for an investment firm and an insurance firm. And I've been in the computer business for quite a while as well. And the combination of finance and computers made crypto an obvious fit for me. And I first found out about cryptocurrency back in about 2015. And when I first tried to set up a crypto wallet, it was just so difficult and complicated. And so on, I just sort of threw up my hands in despair and said, this is too complicated. It's not worth it. Fortunately, about a year later, I was presented with an introductory video that took me step by step by step by step through setting up a wallet, setting up an account on an exchange, and got my first Bitcoin in 2016 when it was about $600 US. So with the price over 100,000 now, obviously I've done pretty well financially, and cryptocurrency has financed a good portion of the last decade of my life. I'm currently building a new house in India, and the total cost of the construction of the house, not all the final finishing details, for a 2.5-story, 5-bedroom, 5-bathroom family home is being paid for with Bitcoin that originally cost me about $300.
So JP, Monero tends often, and if you ask regular people, it tends to be labeled as like controversial. Why do you think that is? And what's your response to people who have that point of view?
Well, several of the arguments that the government and their minions will make are, well, privacy is not a right. The government has the right to know everything about you. You don't have the right to know anything about the government. And I'm trying to participate in the team that's struggling to turn that around, saying that the government should be transparent and the individual should be private, which is the opposite of the way it is right now. Monero is a tool. It's one of many tools. And people ask me, well, should I invest in Bitcoin? I say, well, you could. Yes, it does have its place in a crypto portfolio. But for someone starting off newly, if they haven't done anything before, I always say start with Monero. Build yourself a stash after you've got a few $1,000s worth of Monero. Then maybe you might want to look at some other coins. But again, I would say that the next thing you should go into is other privacy coins like Zano. Some people pronounce it Zano, some people pronounce it Zano. I've heard people talking and using the different pronunciation in the same sentence. Dero, which has been having some issues. It was very promising 2 or 3 years ago, but they've been having problems with the development team, which is very centralized. There's one key individual, and he has not been doing very much recently. So unfortunately, Dero is almost a stalled project right now, and that's reflected in its price performance. Monero is a sort of a meme coin that's actually closely affiliated with Monero and is almost a test net. And it is sort of like the privacy equivalent of Doge, which was the original meme coin. And Doge has done very well for me financially. I bought Doge when you could buy thousands of them for $1. And it's up at about 20 cents. It's been nearly as high as $1, I think. So Monero is a sort of a fun coin, but it's not doing that well on the market. Pirate Chain, there's been some discussion earlier. Amin was talking about Pirate Chain and its sort of lack of adoption. Right now, Monero is sitting at about 80% of its all-time high, so it's likely to reclaim that all-time high probably, I don't know, I don't want to put a date on it, but very easily this year. Pirate Chain is at about maybe 1% of its all-time high of around $15, and it's, I think it's under 20 cents right now. So the market doesn't seem to have adopted Pirate Chain, although in some ways, technically, it is even more private than Monero, but it doesn't have the user base that Monero has. Zcash is not really a privacy coin because they have optional privacy. Well, optional privacy is no privacy at all. You have to make an extra step to send a supposedly private transaction on Zcash. And since 95% of the people using it don't do that, it means that the privacy transactions are a much smaller subset and therefore, ironically, probably easier to trace. So really the competition in the privacy space is about 90% to Monero and 10% for everything else put together. Again, another reason, in my opinion, for Monero adoption. The Monero community is very united. The Bitcoin community is very divided, which led to the so-called Bitcoin Civil War back in about 2015, 2016, which led to the creation of Bitcoin Cash, and then that led to the creation of Bitcoin SV, and there have been other forks of all of those. So the Bitcoin community is very divided between the big blockers and the small blockers. I know it sounds like something out of Gulliver's Travels, but the big blockers have the logic and proof of performance on their side, and the small blockers have the corporate Wall Street people on their side. So it's a very almost a schizophrenic crypto. Whereas Monero, the Monero community is very, very united and very, very focused on one thing, and that is to have Monero be the perfect privacy cryptocurrency to use as money. And everything that Monero does is focused laser-like on that topic, which is why Monero is the best privacy coin. And it has a very, I don't like to use the term fanatical, let's say a very dedicated user base. The people that use Monero use it because they know it's the best coin, and they're not going to go running away if the price suddenly, drops. This actually happened in February a year ago. I was in Acapulco for Anarchapulco last year, and just before Anarchapulco started, Binance, one of the major exchanges, announced that they were delisting Monero, and the price dropped about 30 or 40%, because a lot of people that were, investing in Monero thinking it was, a great investment, when they saw the delisting, they said, "Oh my God, Monero is going out of business," so they dumped their Monero. Those of us in the know said, "My God, this is great. Monero has just gone on sale. It's 40% cheaper." And they scrambled around and put all their Satoshis together and bought as much Monero as they could. And the price recovered within a week or so, and it's now more than double, well more than double what it was at the low. The reason the price dumped is because a lot of uninformed people had been speculating on just price movements, and when they saw the price go down, rather than buying more, they sold off. That is where differential information is most valuable. When you know what most people in the market don't know, you can profit from that.
JP, what are your thoughts on precious metals?
I think that precious metals are an essential part of a well-balanced portfolio. I tell people buy Monero and buy silver, because they are both strong assets that are greatly undervalued and underappreciated by most people in the market. And when you're buying assets, things that are sound and fundamentally secure and are not appreciated by the market, those are the best things to buy. So silver at, $35 or $40 an ounce is an absolute steal. It should be worth approximately the same as gold, because the amount of gold available and the amount of silver available is roughly comparable. But the price of silver has been suppressed for 100 years. And many of the big banks are holding short positions in silver. And they're going to get hammered if the price of silver is allowed to find its true market value. So they've been busy suppressing the price of silver. It's like a coiled spring, or holding a beach ball underwater. You can hold it down for so long, and then when it is released, it's going to skyrocket. So I think that silver has the possibility even to outperform Monero, because I think it's going to easily go to 10, maybe 100 times its current price. Monero, well, I think it should be comparable to the price of Bitcoin. And right now it's less than 1% of the price of Bitcoin. So again, it is undervalued relative to its use case. And investing in undervalued assets is a good thing. Now, I've addressed one precious metal, silver. Gold is also an important thing, but the trouble with gold is it's not readily spendable. Well, there is a solution to that, and that is called the gold back. The gold back is produced by a process that embeds real physical gold into a sort of a polymer note. You can see it's roughly the same size as the banknote, but this actually contains 1,000th of an ounce of gold, and so its price should be 1,000th of the price of gold, which is about 4,000 an ounce. So this has a a nominal gold value of about $4. But this is a much easier way to spend 1,000th of an ounce of gold. So it has increased value because of the fact that it can be used for small transactions. And roughly speaking, the market value of a gold back right now is about twice the value of the gold, because you're paying for the convenience of getting it in a manageable and easily spendable format. Even if you had a gold 1 ounce coin, you would find it very difficult to get change for that if you wanted to make a purchase. But if you have a gold back, well, maybe it's worth $8 to $10. And even if you don't get any change back, if you were buying a couple of loaves of bread and a dozen eggs, you might be very glad to make that exchange. But you're not going to be able to get a change for a gold eagle nearly as readily as you can get change from a gold back. What are some other ways of holding precious metals? Pre-1965 silver coinage in both Canada and USA is also a very useful format. It's usually the cheapest way to buy precious metals is to get pre-65 coinage. The markup on it is very low compared, say, to a 1 ounce maple leaf or eagle. And it's very easy to make change, and it's recognized as being currency. It is a legal currency, even though it may be the older coins. And so the counterfeiting laws also apply. So if someone in China wants to make fake silver eagles, it's much easier to do a 1 ounce coin than one that's a 100th of an ounce.
Thank you,
So
JP.
pre-65 coinage is another good way to hold silver.
JP, did you finish your answer?
Okay. Platinum and palladium, well, you can buy that in 1 ounce coins as well. If you really wanted to diversify, that would perhaps be an extra thing to get. But start with some silver. Get some silver eagles or maple leafs if you're in Canada, although they're universally accepted. In Mexico, they have a 1 ounce Libertad, a Liberty, which is, again, it's an ounce of pure silver. And you can change those anywhere in the world because you take it to a jewelry store and they will give you the melt price of an ounce of the metal for that coin. Not quite as portable as a gold back, but still a good thing to have as part of your financial preparations. So Monero and silver, those are the things that I suggest people start with.
Thank you, JP. And I have a question from Natalie.
Yep.
Is it too late to start with Monero?
Well, right now, the price of Monero is what the price of Bitcoin was a decade ago. And if you had bought Bitcoin a decade ago at today's Monero price, then you would be a very happy camper right now. So yes, it's gone up recently. It's doubled since the beginning of the year. It's still got a long, long way to go. So no, it's not too late to buy Monero.
And I have another question from Edu, who says, what decentralized exchange would you recommend that has good volume?
Well, there are basically two kinds of exchanges. There's exchanges that exchange fiat currency for cryptos. And there are other exchanges that exchange just crypto to crypto. So if you have Bitcoin, you can get Ethereum, you can get Monero, and so on. You're just swapping. Usually the crypto to cryptos, you can very readily find places that do not ask for KYC. You want to set up an exchange on some place like Trocador.app or Exelix.com or SimpleSwap.io. You just pick the pair of currencies you want, you send them your Monero, they'll send you your Bitcoin or vice versa, and there's no KYC involved. But if you are looking for an exchange that will take your fiat currency, your dollars or pounds or yens or euros or whatever, and change it into crypto, almost invariably they will be obliged to ask for your KYC, know your customer. So you have to give them your name and your phone number and your address and some sort of proof like a driver's license or a passport, something like that. You need to identify yourself. And all that information is ultimately available to any government agency that brings their big hammer along to the crypto exchange and say, okay, give us the KYC information that you're holding on all your customers and a total list of their transactions. So if you've ever bought crypto on an exchange that wanted your KYC, you can assume that the government knows about it. And if they can pin even one transaction to your real life identity, if you're using a surveillance coin like Bitcoin or Ethereum, then they can gather a tremendous amount of information about your financial history in crypto. If you're using Monero, they cannot. If you have someone's Bitcoin address and they have been sloppy with their security precautions, like always using a fresh address and so on, you can find out a lot about what their holdings are and what their transaction history is. If you have someone's Monero address, there's only one thing you can do with that: send them Monero. Nothing else. You can't find out anything about their wallet, their transaction history, who they've dealt with, nothing. All you can do is send them Monero.
That's a perfect segue to my next question in regards to tools. What are some tools that you trust in buying, in storing Monero privately and safely? For example, like
Well,
a
there are
wallet.
a lot of, yeah, there are a lot of different crypto wallets on the market. Some of them are good, some of them are not so good. I have tried probably a dozen different Monero wallets, and without any question at all, the one that I like best is the Cake wallet from Cake Labs. They make two versions. They have a Monero only wallet, which is fine if all you're going to use is Monero, and that is called the Monero.com wallet because it's affiliated with the Monero.com website. They also have the multi-coin Cake wallet, and within the Cake wallet app, you've got your Monero wallet, but you can also set up wallets for Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, Litecoin, Ethereum, and all the Ethereum tokens, Solana and Polygon and whatnot. So it is by far the best crypto wallet that I recommend. You can download it from the Monero.com website, and you can also get it on Play Store and the App Store if you've got an Apple device. So that's the wallet that I would recommend. A couple of things that I really like about the Cake wallet: that it has a very clean, easy to understand interface. You can easily change the display currency to convert to fiat. So if you're living in the United States, you would set it to US dollars, but if you were to travel to Mexico, you could set it to Mexican pesos, or travel to Europe, you can set it to euros, and it doesn't affect your Monero balance. It just displays it in the local currency. So if someone says, well, this item is 10 euros, you can say, well, do you accept the Monero? And you can plunk in 10 euros and it'll immediately convert it to the correct Monero amount and send it. So I like that feature of being able to display the fiat conversion in all sorts of different currencies. Another feature that I really like about the wallet is that it has a built-in conversion between cryptos. So even if you're holding Monero, you can receive Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash, dozens and dozens of different cryptos, and it's immediately converted to your Monero balance at the time of the transaction. It means you can also send all those cryptos. So if someone says, well, I only accept Litecoin, you can say, no problem, what's your Litecoin address? And you can go into your Cake wallet and say, I want to send Litecoin. How much Monero is it going to cost me to send this amount of Litecoin? and it does the conversion for you right on the spot. So you pay into the built-in exchange in Monero, and it pops out Litecoin at the other end. So both those features I find are enormously useful. And the Cake wallet is the one that does it the simplest. Another thing that I really like about the Cake wallet is that you can buy gift cards within the wallet. So let's say you go to Denny's for dinner and the bill comes to $37.50. You can buy a gift card for that specific amount, or if you choose, you can add a tip onto the amount and buy the gift card with Monero and just display the QR code that pops up on your screen, and the cashier will scan your gift card, and presto, you've paid for your dinner using Monero, even if the restaurant doesn't accept it. Most businesses do now accept gift cards. Another way, besides using the Cake wallet's built-in gift cards, is you can use the webpage coincards.com. And the first thing it'll ask you is, what country do you want? So for example, I would choose Canada, and I can buy, say, a gift card in any amount, let's say $50 for Superstore, which is where I do a lot of my shopping. So I get this $50 gift certificate on my phone, and when I get to the cashier at the store, I just show them the QR code for the gift card, and presto, I paid for my groceries using Monero, even though the store has no idea that I used Monero to pay for that gift card.
I love that idea. And JP, I remember this was one of the first questions I asked you when I met you, when you mentioned the Cake wallet, and I think you mentioned something about the updates. Does that wallet get
yes,
better updates?
Those of you who may have been storing your Monero in the Exodus wallet will have probably got a notification, if they have some way of contacting you, that they are removing support for Monero. And I think that's the end of August. So if you are holding Monero on an Exodus wallet, you should move it over to a Cake wallet. Coinomy is another major wallet. They discontinued Monero support about 3 years ago. Now, if you had Monero on a Coinomy wallet, it was possible to extract the Monero, but it wasn't like just sending it, which is a very easy transaction. You had to actually go through a fairly complicated multi-step process in order to be able to get your Monero out of Coinomy. And Exodus, once their official support has ended in a couple of months, you will still be able to extract your Monero from Exodus, but you won't be able to transact in it. You won't be able to just send it as a transaction. Several other wallets have had issues when Monero pushes an update. For example, Edge wallet, I've had no ends of problem, although normally Edge wallet is a very good wallet, but I've just been unfortunate in that they discontinued support for a couple of cryptos that I was holding within the Edge wallet. One of them was Pirate Chain, and one of them was Bitcoin SV, and it was extremely difficult to get my funds. So when Monero, the Monero development team pushes a new update, you can be absolutely certain that the Cake wallet will be on top of it instantly, because the Cake wallet is very tightly integrated with the Monero development team. So any upgrade is going to immediately be incorporated into the Cake wallet, whereas other wallets may take a month to incorporate the changes. And that has happened to me with Exodus and with Edge, that the funds were just not available. They weren't lost, they were just not accessible. Well, that's not as bad as being lost, but it's a big inconvenience if you're trying to spend some crypto and you found that your wallet no longer supports and they're waiting for the development team to do something about it. So coin wallets like Exodus, like Coinomy, like Edge Wallet, they may not be able to concentrate all their resources on upgrading one particular crypto because they've got a large stable to manage. So the Cake wallet will always be updated immediately when there's any update to the Monero by the Monero development team.
And JP,
Another reason why I like Cake.
My last question to you before I open it up to questions for if anyone else has questions is, you've helped a lot of people. Like for example, myself, you helped me how to accept payment with crypto, and I know you've helped a lot of people that in the autonomy community with your Monero tipping jar project. Can you talk to us a little bit about like how you help, like the different projects you have going on, how you help people?
Well, one of the reasons that I joined the autonomy community was that I could see that there were a lot of people in autonomy that could benefit from the kind of crypto services that I offer. I mentioned earlier about my experience of getting started with crypto, how difficult it was, and I've had a lot of experience in teaching and one-on-one coaching and tuition, and the combination of being able to explain things clearly to novices, plus my fairly extensive background in crypto, having been in the space for about a decade, I just have a knack for taking people that are complete novices and getting them up to a comfort level where they say, "Oh yeah, okay, I can handle this stuff." So my services basically are twofold. One is a coach and one is a broker. So I can hand hold you through the process of setting up your wallet. And I've written quite a few articles that are on the Autonomy website about various aspects of crypto. But I'm also a full service crypto broker. So if you want to either buy or cash in crypto, I can do that for you, all without any KYC. It's a perfectly straightforward peer-to-peer transaction.
So with that said, I want to open it up. We have 20 minutes for questions. Yeah, please feel free to unmute. If you cannot unmute, I know I think I had to mute a couple of people. I can't recall. But just message me and I'll go ahead and unmute you guys.
Okay, well, I just see that Natalia had a question. What's the minimum investment to set up a crypto wallet? The answer is zero. You can set up a crypto wallet. You're just downloading a piece of software. Now, you can get someone to donate you a little bit of crypto, which is what I always do when I have a client setting up their wallet for the first time. I'll send them, 0.000101 Monero, which may only be worth a few cents, but it demonstrates that, first of all, I've got the capability to send it, that they've got the capability to receive it, and that it's perfectly practical to send a 10-cent or a 15-cent transaction. So you can get your first crypto free. Just contact me and I will walk you through the process of doing that. If you want to buy crypto, normally I have a $1,000 minimum, but for Monero it's only $100. So you can buy as little as $100 to get Monero. And that's $100 in your local currency. So if you're in the USA, it's a minimum of 100 US. If you're in Canada, it's a minimum of $100 Canadian.
Okay, and in Mexico,
I have set up wallets for 100 pesos. If you're Mexican,
oh
based
really?
in Mexico, I'll set up your wallet for 100 pesos worth of Monero.
Actually,
Okay.
that brings up my first good story. I met JP in Acapulco, and he gave me my first Monero, and then I think the first amount I bought, it was like 200 pesos or something, right, JP?
Something like that.
Yeah, way back when it was like 130 bucks, but
And what's the best way to get in touch with you, JP?
You can leave a message on the Portal Gatherings Telegram, or if you have Signal, you can search for JPMX.94. 3, and I will answer your signal message.
Let me just repeat that because I'm adding that to the chat. That's jpmx.93.
Yeah, that's my signal address, and
There
I'm
is
on
an
Telegram
easier
as well.
way of getting a hold of JP. You know, the portal message that you receive, like any portal email, if you reply to it, JP is the one who actually receives those messages.
On
Agnieszka,
my
would you?
email, on the emails that I get from you.
Yeah, any email that you got from portal gatherings. Like if you go to portalgatherings.com and you sign up for the mailing list and then you receive an email like the next portal panel or this replay, then you'll be able to reply to that email and JP will be the one who gets the email and then he can send you his information directly.
Okay, great. I'm looking forward to setting up my first crypto.
It'll be a pleasure, Natalia. Where
Thank
are
you.
you located? Are you in
I'm in
Mexico?
Puerto Vallarta, Mexico.
Wonderful. Okay.
Yeah, I'm
Well,
a
I'll-
failed Canadian. I ran away from Canada.
You mean you're a successful Canadian expat?
No, I'm a successful Russian again, a Russian spy. Thank you. Namaste. Aloha.
Thank you, Natalia. JP, I have a question for
Здравствуйте.
you.
Yes.
Living between India and Mexico, I'm sure gives you a unique lens. How do people react to crypto, precious metals, like what you talk about, like in India and in Mexico?
Well, I have dealt with clients in both India and Mexico. I've helped dozens of people in both countries set up their crypto wallets and get started with crypto. Mexico, I'd say, is a little bit ahead in terms of crypto adoption. There's a fair number of people that know and use crypto in Mexico. Not so much in India yet, because the government has had a very ambivalent reaction towards crypto, and the Reserve Bank of India, which is sort of the central bank, has been very, very discouraging, and the regulations are very, very onerous, and they have a 30% tax on crypto gains. That at least is the tax on the gains that they know about. If you've got Monero, there's no way they know about it. Not that I'm encouraging anyone to avoid paying what you legitimately owe to the government, which in most cases should be zero. But anyway, that's another discussion. So I would say there's not yet as much crypto adoption in India as there is in Mexico, but I find that people are very hungry for the information. So yeah, I do a lot of setting up free wallets and setting up wallets and giving people free crypto in every country that I go to.
Thank you, JP. And I think Edu has a question. Hello, Edu.
Hey, how's it going, guys? Hey,
Okay.
JP, I met you back in 2022, Morelia and Acapulco as well. I'm very curious about your India experience because I just came back from a 2-month trip in India, and I'm Mexican as well. So I was just taken aback, like you being a privacy guy, Uh, India, out of the 30, close to 30 countries that I've been, has been the country that has asked me the most questions, filling out the visa. You have to do all this biometrics when you get to the airport, super militarized. You cannot go into the airport and you don't have a boarding pass. The country's pushing for all this digital payments like Pepe, Google Pay, like very few people use cash nowadays. So I just wanted to yeah, get your opinion about why India and yeah, how do you feel?
Well, I've been traveling to and within India for about 4 decades. My first visit there was in 1985, and I immediately felt at home and that I belonged there. And within 2 or 3 days of arriving, I met a guy that I became very close friends with, and I went back and visited him a couple of times, and we traveled together in India. And every time I was there, I more and more felt this is where I belong. And I met my life partner there about 30 years ago. So we've been together for 32 years come December. So my long-term goal within the next year or so is to relocate permanently to India. And I may have mentioned before that I'm building a house there with my partner with crypto that originally cost me about $300 for a 2.5-story, 5-bedroom, 5-bathroom family home for $300 worth of $300 US worth of crypto back in is what I paid for it back in 2016.
I see.
India is my spiritual home.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
I'm planning to make it my physical. I usually spend 3 to 6 months a year in India.
Yeah.
I did actually from 2001 when I retired from UBC until 2013, lived in India nonstop except for 2 or 3 short visits to Canada. So I've had the experience of living there year round for more than a decade, and I want to go back there to spend the rest of my life there.
Thank you for your input. I did love the country, but I did have difficulty with this privacy issues. For example, when I was trying to come back to the U.S., I had what you would say an on-call standby pass, right? I couldn't get on the plane because of weight restrictions, right? And I have to wait for staff from United Airlines to escort me out of the airport. I couldn't just walk out. So all these little issues kind of, ugh. But I mean, overall, the country, I did had a great time, especially in the northern part, the Himalayas. I was in Uttarakhand, Ladakh area, and Kashmir area. I love beautiful, beautiful parts of the world. So yeah, it was just like this love and hate, but overall, definitely more pros than cons. I was
Well,
just
it's a
curious.
fascinating country, and it's full of challenges, but I love it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Edu, and good to see you, man.
Edu, we really miss you at Autonomy.
Good to see you guys as well.
There are so many cool clubs and get-togethers. Like every Saturday morning, we get together for this like free-form discussion, like season 1 style. And there are so many cool things. You should definitely come back. And I definitely expect you to come to our conference in March.
Yes, yeah, thank you. Definitely. I just came back from the trip. I was pretty much riding a motorcycle around the Himalayas. So yeah, now it's time to connect and get back to autonomy for sure. So thank you guys for having me here.
Well, so we do like for Portal Gathering, the conference. This is the same conference that we did for the Eclipse in 2024. And so for this one, we're actually doing a monthly panel like this. Another one we have in 2 weeks because this is an extra special one that wasn't supposed to happen. But yeah, in another 2 weeks, we have another panel, and there'll be different speakers talking about different topics, like more spiritual and stuff next month. So I hope that I see you more at these events because I miss you.
Thank you. Thank you. Miss you too, amiga. Appreciate the invite.
And with that said, I want to remind people of our monthly Portal Panel podcast. It's the second Wednesday of every month. This is the 3rd episode. And next month we have the how in manifestation. And our guest will be Barry. So yes, that's going to happen the second, and just in a couple of weeks. So make sure to join us. And at the end of the year, in late February, early March, we're going to have a lot of our guests are going to meet up in real life. So you'll have an opportunity to not only ask questions live during these monthly podcasts, but if you want to meet everyone in person, we will be gathering late February in Tepoztlan, Morelos, Mexico. The tickets are already, there's early bird tickets, I believe, at portalgatherings.com. So feel free to check out the website. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. There's a great value in the blogs that are written there that give you updates on what we're talking about, and also give you information about when the ticket sales are going out and things like that. So I want to thank everyone for tuning in and joining us today. I hope you found some value, and I'll see you in a couple of weeks for our next portal panel.
Step through the portal.